like your mama.
Aha! An intro like that. Who could be in the building? It must be time for Brandon
Mics
Weir.
are hot, just like your mama. Eh?
Crypto, hour of power. Here we go. And of course, the man in front of me, look, he's wearing the garb, mate. Orange Brick Road, the
mate.
absolute quintessential superstars of crypto.
Quintessential superstars of crypto. So you're a wordsmith. You just
I've been called many things, right? Not normally that, let me tell you. Hey, mate, great to see you. Great to have you in the studio.
Yes.
Look at $1 million, mate. Ready to rock and roll.
$1 million, you reckon?
Oh, look, I might be talking that up a little bit.
Right. I feel terrible.
Oh, well.
Had a bit of a flu. Both of us had a bit of an illness, haven't we?
We are mirroring each other on that department, mate, but that's okay. That's okay.
We soldier on, mate.
We do. And I believe we've got a fellow soldier on the phone today as a special guest.
Yes, 100%. Today we have Samuel. He is from UpTrade, which is a crypto brokering service that we've been using for a while now. And, just a really, really good platform.
Yep.
Recommend it. So basically, how you going, Samuel? You there, mate?
Yeah, good afternoon. Going really, really well.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the crazy hour of me and Aaron.
It's been called many things, mate, but there you go.
Brilliant. All right, mate, how we traditionally start off things was we tee off with basically introducing yourself, which I've just done, and then if I can just throw it to you, Samuel, about who you are, where you're from, and then we'll go into what were you doing pre-crypto, because obviously you didn't wake up, to finish high school and then decide to get into crypto, A lot of people who were doing other things pre-crypto. We'll just start off the intro of who you are, who you're working for, or basically you're a part of, and then, what were you doing pre-crypto?
Sure. So my name's Samuel Still. I work over in UpTrade. I'm one of the brokers over here. And prior to this, I was actually, I had a few jobs. The one before that was I was working in office supplies. So delivering pens and pencils and taking orders and being an account manager there for a number of years.
Right.
So,
That's quite a departure, quite frankly. There we go. You had
quite a change.
Sorry?
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate, actually. I was very fortunate. It was about 2000 and about 8 years ago, I got into the financial industry, and it's been such a change and such a wild ride, and I loved every minute of it. Really, really exciting.
Well, you've really stepped up from the world of Post-it notes. You've done very well
and
indeed.
Pencils,
Very true
Definitely.
indeed.
So I think what they've got nowadays is called Officeworks.
I've heard of that place, yeah. It's been a bit of money there, let me tell you.
So is that what made your industry null and void, or is what you used to do still around?
It's still around. I actually I grew up in Sydney.
Right.
So it's actually the company I worked for was a very large private company, and they actually compete with Officeworks and also another large company called Staples.
Right.
So they were the third biggest player in New South Wales. So I had all the government contracts like the hospitals and, all the Treasury Department, all sorts of different government departments.
Yeah.
So I was a government account manager.
Okay.
So I also looked after a whole lot of Salvation Army and a number of different non-for-profit organisations too.
Okay.
That's interesting. I mean, so someone who's dealing a lot with government, I can understand why you wanted to get as far away from government as possible with crypto.
Milk that government money, mate. Milk it. Throw that away. Okay, so how did crypto come on your radar?
Yeah, so actually it's quite a funny story. I had a girlfriend and she wanted me to change jobs. She wasn't seeing very much of me because I was doing a lot of different work. Mm-hmm. And she said, look, it's time you got a new job. And and funny enough, I applied for a job on Seek back in Sydney and got given an opportunity and certainly made the most of it and, learned a lot. I remember back in 2016 when Bitcoin was $500. Yeah. And as we all know, it's certainly not 500 anymore. And every year I've been in it, I've just grown and grown and learned a lot more. Like a lot of people think crypto, they think maybe just Bitcoin or the top assets, but there's more than 17 or 16,000, nearly 17 now different types of crypto assets you can buy. So it's definitely gone from when I first started, you could throw a dartboard and just about guarantee to make money.
Right.
Nowadays, it's a lot more, specialising, trending. There's a lot to learn.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I started in 2016, and there weren't as many exchanges around or, different services, that sort of stuff, and you'd basically pretty much felt like you're on your own. Nowadays, you've got a lot more support. There's a lot more companies out there, that sort of thing. All right.
Yes.
So, just speaking of that, that's also something I did want to touch on. I was going to do it a bit later, we might as well do it now, is, a lot of people, I get phone calls from people all the time that have invested in, crypto mining, and they're just, different scams and that sort of stuff, being approached, especially on social media or through dating apps and that sort of stuff. There's a lot to learn with crypto, and you have to do it safely, so
Definitely.
using reputable people.
Yeah, and that's one of the saddest things about the industry I work in, and you do as well. I hear just about probably on average every second day someone's got scammed.
Yep.
And I often tell them it's like restaurants. There's really good places you go and eat, you'll go back to, and then there's ones that you just would never walk through the door again.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, part of the industry we're in, that you really want to be doing business with people that are referred to you, or people that are trusted.
Yeah.
And always do business in Australia. Never send your money outside of Australia.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of brokerage companies and exchanges based out of England that's not working out for a lot of clients, so there's a lot of money to be made in crypto, but you can also lose a lot of money, so that's why you just got to make sure that you're educated and you're keeping up on it and that sort of thing, So, what you guys have done with UpTrade is, can you just, for the listeners and for Aaron over here, because
speak
Aaron,
slowly,
and speak very slowly for Aaron, please, explain the difference between, say, a crypto exchange and a crypto brokering service, which is what you are.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so like a crypto exchange, look, let's take the top 10 exchanges. If you look at, say, the Bitcoin price, you can see that there varies, up to maybe 1,500 difference in prices.
Right.
So, and people often hear, I'll be, buying it at the exchange for 1%. But what they don't realise is that, most of the times they buy things, there's slippage, which is what we call in the industry. So the price you think you're getting is probably not the price you're going to end up getting. So, there's not usually with exchanges, a lot of support. And most of the time, not a lot of education as well. Just get in there, it's sort of, cheaper they think, and you buy what you want, and that's it. That's pretty much the extent of it. Whereas a broker like ours, we'll get in there, we'll help you, hold your hand, we'll give you the best price in the market. So we'll look at all the exchanges, we'll look at the liquidity providers, we'll get the best pricing, they'll make sure there's no slippage, and we charge a fee for that. And and for your customers, as you know, we have a very extraordinary rate. So it actually works out cheaper than using a exchange yourself, because you're not having any slippage. You're getting the best price in the market. You don't have to go looking at 10 different exchanges going, okay, well, this one's got a $1,500 better price that I'm selling, and this one's $1,500 better when I'm cheaper when I'm buying. So we do all that running around for you and make sure you don't get any slippage, and we just charge you a very decent fee.
Yeah, and that's the point. That's the point, an exchange is basically just an interface, like you just go, all right, cool, I want to buy this. They go, yeah, cool, here it is. Whereas a brokering service, like you said, was to look for the best prices. Now, overall, just say hypothetically, they get 5 or 10% more than what you'd get on the exchange. Over the lifetime of the investment, that's an extra sort of 5 to 10% on that investment.
Right.
So it's a big deal.
Certainly is. Huge.
Yeah. And, even with us, like we use special programs and things. So, we really, that's what's special about us. We've got many years of experience, all of us. And we've taken all the good things we've learned along the way and put into UpTrade to make sure that we really look after our clients the best we can.
Cool. And avoided all the bad things that we've learned along the way.
Well, you've got to learn from your mistakes, right? Actually,
yeah,
that's quite a good point.
Definitely.
To be frank, I mean, that's why Orange Brick Road and what you do is so important because you've made the mistakes, mate.
Yes, I have.
So let people learn from that, right? Rather than go out there and lose their own money and all that, let them just enjoy the fact that you've done it all.
By learning from your mistakes, especially when it hurts, you remember it, quite well.
Yeah.
But you guys
And
hold their hands. Yep. Sorry, go.
I was just going to say, even custody, like talking about not even buying things is holding things. Like a lot of people, there's different ways to hold things. And a lot of people, prefer to hold them on a ledger or something like that.
Yeah.
Some people hold them in different ways. But even like talking about educating people, there's many things, not just about buying or selling or how to buy something that's good or bad. It's where to hold them. There's like a whole different like language when it comes to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, exactly. And, especially how tech savvy you are, like with some people, you're just like, hey, maybe you should just leave it on the exchange for a bit, until you sort of educate yourself to have the self-custody. But are you guys insured with anything that's on your platform?
Yeah, so we have Fireblocks, which is actually probably the gold standard. We've got ANZ, NAB, ABN AMRO, many, many institutions around the world. And it's probably the best, in my opinion, or one of the best anyway, because it's insured in transit, it's insured in custody. So, it really helps people to feel safe at night when they're sleeping, that way. And the other good thing is, hypothetically, if somebody had something on a ledger and they were to, say, pass away, unfortunately, if no one else knows their details of their, how to, their code to get into it, then it's lost forever. Whereas with Fireblocks, we can actually get the deed or the death certificate, and we can actually recover it for the family with a legal process. So,
yeah, that's an important thing to remember too. Is make sure that you've got like a backup plan or a dead man switch.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you do hold in a ledger, which is perfectly great, there's a lot of really good people, very smart people that do it that way. But always remember, there's a backup plan, like you said, definitely.
Can I ask on that dead man switch? Okay, I think that's a really big issue. People when they pass away, there's money here, there's money there. People don't know what's going on. You've got all of the, the piranhas who come out to claim, your money. What sort of things, what mechanisms can you put in place to actually protect yourself to make sure that the money's going to the people you actually care about?
Well, there's a really good website called orangebrickroad.com.au.
I've heard of these guys.
They go all right. And I'm just looking it up at the moment. What's it called? Oh, my goodness. Tax, super, estate planning.
Estate planning.
Yes,
okay,
estate
that's a very
planning.
fancy name. Okay, well, that's
Right.
I know it's a lot more memorable than Dead Man.
Yes, well, that's what he's implemented. It's
Gotcha.
Jeremy. He worked on liquid loans. He's done a whole bunch of stuff. He works with us. So on our services tab, you'll see estate planning, and that covers everything as well, not just crypto. Like you
That's
can do
brilliant.
everything. So basically, they set it up. If it hasn't been accessed after a certain period of time, or it gets automatically triggered, and then the information gets sent to the lawyer or the accountant or the family member or whoever you've dedicated to. They're the type of skills we've got at Orange Brick Road, mate.
You've got a few, mate.
We've got skills.
It's more than just a pretty website, mate. There's a bit behind it.
That's right.
And even on top of that, what I really like about Orange Brick Road is like even the taxation side. Like you've got partnerships with people that are specialists in that area, which is why your community is so good. Because not a lot of accountants understand taxation when it comes to crypto, and especially if you've got a self-managed super fund or something like that, having someone to refer people to, which you've got on your site, Orange Brick Road, is really critical.
Yeah, 100%. And you guys deal with super as well, yeah?
Yes, we do. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Cool.
Us, Brokers, company, all sorts of different identities.
Yeah, cool. That'll just has to be set up or can you help people do that?
We could help them do it as well. Yeah, we do have people like yourself we can refer people to. We work with a number. Like that's what's good about us all. We're all in the industry. We all know the right people that are trustworthy. And we can all, send people here and there and recommend them with confidence.
Well, this is a big thing. Okay, someone who's trustworthy, exactly that, the confidence of knowing you've got these relationships which you know are strong and Yeah. Again, it comes down to experience, right? You're buying into other people's experience and their networks.
All I'm hearing, mate, is that I'm intelligent and very good looking.
Okay, well...
That's all I'm hearing.
With that distraction, I think it's time for a song. Because now I need to be distracted. I can't look at you. It's time for a bit of Metallica here.
Bring it on.
Came to make some noise.
We are doing crypto.
I find the mama jokes, mate, like the worse they are, the better they are.
Sure, you keep thinking that. Yeah.
They're just, if they're absolutely disgusting and on the point, I just find that hilarious. Anyway, especially when I'm talking to police officers. Anyways.
Oh, yes.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Good.
Now, of course, we've got Samuel on the line, mate. Were you rocking out there? Did you enjoy the music?
Yeah, great music. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great to
brother.
hear, mate.
It's because I get to pick it, right? Because Aaron over here has been in radio for 50 years.
It feels that
and
way.
just has one of the most atrocious tastes in music.
True. No, it's not. No, jeez. If I had feelings, I'd be upset.
I'd say half the time you're all right.
Yeah, okay. It's just the other half.
Other half is just disgraceful. You walk down the street. Anyways.
Let's get back into crypto, mate.
Yes, not being so personal. All right. Okay, cool. So, all right. Now, what a lot of people like to listen to is, especially with crypto, is like, what am I going to buy? How do I get moon? How do I get the moon? Get the moon to the moon. Okay. Now, we've got a system that we use at Orangebeck Road, not to shill ourselves. Basically, how to set up a portfolio and how to do it correctly. Instead of just shooting for little meme coins and shite coins and hoping for the best. Now, that is something that you guys can help people out with that are sort of newish, Samuel?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things we really look at. Yeah, we try and get to know our clients, understand who they are, what their risk appetite is. Are they looking to, long-term, leave it for 20 years or 5 years or 1 year, or are they looking for short-term things? So we really try and tailor things to people like as you know, Sui, Solana, Bitcoin, for a person that really wants to just build their wealth over time is probably quite a safe deal. But like you said, going down the list of low market caps, look, they might go up 100, X. They might be wiped off, tomorrow.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you really want that risk control. Some people do that. You'd be surprised.
Yep.
Some people, you really don't want them buying that. And that's where we try and help them and say, look, maybe this isn't really for you. At the end of the day, we can't tell people what to buy or sell, but we can help them understand the reasons behind why this is maybe a good thing or this isn't a good thing to do. And one of the other things we specialise in is there's certain programs or things that are just absolute rug pulls. Like we saw Mantra, Mantra the other day.
Yes,
lost 90 in a week.
Yeah.
So, we would not hold our people to buy that because we understand the tokenomics of it, and people they hold a lot of tokens, the owners and developers and so on, which is just sets it up to be exactly what happens to happen one day.
Oh, you just broke up there, mate. Sorry, what was that you just said?
The tokenomics of it. The developers had a lot of the tokens. Now, that's never a good thing when that happens. Because exactly like what happened, 90% of value just wiped off the board in a week. This is why we do look at the true value of the asset. Whether that's from staking or some other way we can value it, and then we understand who owns it, how it's valued, and whether or not it's a good thing or not.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's all up to the individual. Like if they want to do what they want to do, go for it. But at least we've said our bit, and sort of said, hey, do you understand this, is a really high possibility, especially when a lot of developers have majority of the coins and they're not staked, they're liquid, they're just red flags.
What's that, the pump and dump? Is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah, that old saying?
Yeah, and there's a lot of that going around, But okay, so did you have like a method? I mean, I suppose you've got a whole team of crypto monkeys over there at UpTrade, and by crypto monkeys, I mean that in the nicest way possible. That sort of sieve through, and look at different projects and sort of that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. I went out to lunch today with the head of research, and the guy's 24 years old. And he was saying that he's had a few comments saying, really, you couldn't be the head of research at 24. Right. The guy's been doing it for years.
Yep.
So, he's been doing it for, since he was very, very young, boy.
Yep.
And, the guy knows so much. So that's why he's got the position he's got. And I tell you, I would put my faith in his hands to recommend whatever, because these guys live and breathe crypto, all night long. They're at home studying this, doing this. It's not just him. There's a team of in our department that really, work together and understand everything really, really well. And in a lot of ways, I'm 50 myself, but in a lot of ways, these young, children, or I call them children, they're not children, they're adults, but they understand things so clearer. Even myself at 50, been doing this for 8 years, it's sometimes, they teach me things, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
so,
I know what you mean, because I was trying to explain to my daughter the other day about the time when we didn't have mobile telephones, and she was like, "Well, how did you call each other?"
Yeah, throw rocks at each other. What did you do? Come on.
And I was explaining to doing research at a library. She's like, "Well, why don't you just use your phone, Dad?" Well, we didn't have them, mate.
Totally different mindset, isn't it?
These kids are grown up on them,
I'd be lost without Google or ChatGPT. Things like that. Like they're really, just Google it. That's these days what I do.
Yep, 100%.
We'll be living.
I live off ChatGPT at the moment. I just absolutely live off it.
I'm resisting. I am absolutely resisting it. I know that I'm the old dinosaur, but I keep away from it. I'll get.
Oh, God, how goes the revolution, comrade?
Yeah, that's right.
Catch up, brother. Catch up.
I need to. I desperately need.
Yeah. So
Funny you mentioned that about the research team, because like at the moment we see AI, back in favour.
Yes.
There's certain times and certain things that, sometimes something's out of favour. And it's not to say that it's a bad thing. Like we've seen XRP, go from $2.76 down to $2.
Yeah.
Now we've seen it going back up. But it's just some things are out of favour. So, XRP is great. I hold some myself.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it's just out of favour at the moment. And that's the thing about trends is I guess it's like clothes. Sometimes things go out of trend. Sometimes, the old stuff comes back in. So it's knowing, what at the time. Yeah.
Interesting you say that, because, I was wondering about the XRP thing. It just sort of seems people were loving it and it was hot, and now it's just a bit chilly.
And then it's not.
No, exactly right.
Yeah, it's narratives. Like people kick up in the narratives, and then all of a sudden it starts to rank, and then then it self perpetuates.
Gets momentum.
It's my golden rule when the Uber driver's talking about XRP. That's a good time to sell.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because one of my favourite sayings in crypto is when everyone's scared, that's when you want to be buying.
Yeah.
When you're at barbecues talking about Bitcoin's up to 100,000 and they're all at barbecues having a drink and having a chat about it, that's probably when you don't want to be buying.
That's right, man. That's right. That's what we say to clients as well. It's like, because my business runs off basically, or most of it runs off the cycles.
Right.
So once it's just hilarious. As soon as things start pumping, my phone starts ringing.
Isn't it funny?
And I'm like, dude, it should have been ringing a week or two ago. To actually get in. And people that have been in the market for a while understand this. But it's just the way that things are, and it's good that it gets attention. But when you look at things as a long term, it's an investment. It's not like okay, I'm going to chuck it in.
Yeah, Bitcoin year on year is 100%, year on year. So, there's not many places you can get that sort of return without too much risk, except from, something like Bitcoin. So,
yeah, exactly. And I've had this conversation with a few well-known crypto people on podcasts and radio interviews and that sort of stuff. Is like, show me where else where you can get a return like you can in crypto, and I'll be out of crypto tomorrow.
But where is there, mate? That's the thing.
That's right.
Like, it's just nothing like it.
I love these people that talk about, no, I'm in it for the tech.
Tech.
I'm in it for the...
Yeah, I'm in for tech. I want a really, really nice sound system on my yacht. There's my tech. There we go.
That's right.
Something I often get asked, which I'm sure you do as well, is people often ask me, have I missed the boat? Right? Yes. And I often say to them, look, we all would have loved to get back in 2016, but you know what? The boat's still out there.
Yeah.
And, it's better late than never, because, even a year ago, you would have got in. It would have still been a lot more expensive than 2016. But there's limited supply at, say, Bitcoin. Yeah. So, you've got MicroStrategy and all these, huge great big institutions buying billions of dollars worth. They've certainly done their research and understand why they're buying it. So I often tell those people, you haven't missed the boat. Just get on the boat.
That's
because
yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's the thing when you hear about such and such bank bought into Bitcoin. Okay, this institution's bought into Bitcoin.
Hearing it all the time.
It's like, okay, they didn't wake up and the CEO just goes, you know what? I've just seen a thing on YouTube. Fuck, this sounds really good.
I've just seen this really cool TikTok.
Let's put 1.7 billion, just see how it goes. Yeah. No, they've got to pass it through committees and the research department. Right. They've got floors of people that look at this stuff.
It's accountability, right?
100%. Because they have to be accountable to their shareholders and to the company. Yeah, they just don't wake up and do a yawn and scratch their ass and go, okay, let's pile in,
I know that's your system, Brandon, but
that's how I do
it. There's so much to it. Go on.
I was just going to say, so definitely I often tell those people you've never missed the boat, so the big stuff like the top 10, look, they're solid, like the blue chips, we call them, but, start going down the market cap, and I'll tell you that it becomes riskier the lower you go. So, somebody that's, retiring or money's important and they just want to have something more than the bank interest, Bitcoin's probably the way to go. It's nice and safe. It's not going away tomorrow. It will have its fluctuations, a few thousand here, a few thousand there, up or down. But, put it in your sock drawer, leave it there for 6 months or a year, and you'll probably be happy you did.
Yeah, good advice.
Well, no matter what, if you've just got money in the bank, right, they've got all, safe investment there, you're actually going backwards, right? We all know inflation is actually, and the value of the cash is going down, down, down. So, if you, some years you're going to have the big wins, or some months you're going to have the big wins, but this is a time in the game, right? It's not about...
It's time in the market, not timing the market.
That's
right. I think that's what you're trying to say there, Aaron.
Do you know what I was doing? I was actually trying to segue for you to say it, but there we go. Oh, great minds think alike.
Yeah, we never can catch like a falling knife. So, and no one ever, the best expert will never get in at the cheapest price. No. But as you just said, it's better to get in at a price than trying to wait for the price to, get to a certain point, because you know what, then you may miss that price and may not get in at all. So
yeah, 100%. And as a lesson I learned too, I'll make the story real brief because I've said it a few times, is I set up an app for my kids, right? Yeah. I can't remember what it was called, but basically I was just buying them $100 worth of Bitcoin a week, right?
Yep.
And anyway, after a year and a half or so, my son rings me up. He says, "Oh, Dad, you still doing that Bitcoin thing for me?" I go, "Yeah, I am too." It was called Amber. I think the app was called Amber. And I went, "Oh, yeah, cool. I should have a look at that." So I had a look at it. My ROI was 147%, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
And I'm like, okay, meet a day trader that can do that.
I've yet to find one. There you go.
Dollar costing in, and it's good to dollar cost out as well,
Yep, definitely.
Why are you looking at me?
And even like we saw...
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Aaron's just giving me the sexy eyes.
That's not what it was.
We just saw a deep book the other day. It went up 122% in one day.
So
that's
what did?
crazy.
I missed that.
Deep book. Deep book.
Yep.
It's and that's where like crypto is still so exciting. To have something can go up 100% in a day is unbelievable.
It really is.
So, and even now, we've gone through all Donald Trump. He's been horrible for basically all, not the share market, the crypto, everything. But you know what? The market's still held pretty steady for the last week or so. And daily we see inflows pouring into ETFs and things like that,
right.
Which, ETFs are good. But you know what? They're not as good. Like an ETF's probably good for somebody that's got no idea and just wants to throw their money in and let somebody invest it.
Okay.
But a lot of ETFs, they're taking 20% off the profits and so on, and management fees and all the rest. Whereas if you can work with somebody like us in Orange Brick Road, and we can really help to maximise the money you're making, not giving it to somebody 20% of the profits straight off the top. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It all just boils down to education. And if, like, honestly, this is not, once again, not a shield. If you guys are looking at getting into crypto or you've been in it a little while, speak to myself or Samuel or just someone that's got a lot of knowledge, because you can make a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot.
You can. And you know what? Shill away, mate. The fact of the matter is, you have been doing the education business for a very long time and very, very well.
Yep.
You've got great authority on it. So, you're not, fly-by-nighter, mate.
Oh, nice transition. Look at that.
Bit of Motley Crue for you. Edge Radio Australia.
Bring it on.
As with any of these Crypto Hour of Power shows, chosen by
me.
Exactly.
Because you're not allowed to anymore.
I feel like a child being scalded for his musical taste.
Do you know where I was at? Mm-hmm. No, you don't.
No,
but Like, I'll tell you. Not yesterday, day before, I think it was. I went down to the Ravenswood, the pub.
Yes,
the old one
absolutely.
on the river. Yeah, remember that back in the day? It was a big live venue music back then.
Mate,
Choir Boys,
awesome
Jimmy
place.
Barnes,
Yeah.
1927.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw Cold Chisel or something like that. Then.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, many years ago.
Amazing. What an Aussie talent. Amazing band.
Yeah.
Man.
And I mean, it was as Aussie as it got really back in those days, the old Ravenswood. I mean, in fact, it was only a few hundred metres from the local drag strip. I mean, it had it all coming together. So
it was full of bikies and stuff.
Yep.
The place was packed. It was awesome. Anyway, got nothing to do with crypto, just me being an alcoholic on the weekend.
Living on the past, mate. There we go.
Cool. All right, flying our way home.
Yeah.
Talking about crypto and all things crypto. With the time that you've spent in the industry, Samuel, where do you kind of like see it going? In a sense, like I'll put it this way: is like when I started in it, they were talking about how, banks were going to get into it and countries and bloody institutions and all that. And it was like a pipe dream. We're like, yeah, cool, maybe one of these days, especially the XRP army, banks are going to adopt it and carry on, that was their narrative. Don't necessarily agree with that, but it could happen. So where, if you were to get a crystal ball, Samuel, where do you reckon crypto is going to be in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, look, I think like a lot of things, like we see Sui and Solana, people using that a lot more these days than say XRP.
Yeah.
So I think basically you've got all these young, very intelligent people that are just going to improve and improve and improve on what's already out there. And I think, look, the future's bright. But once again, you really want somebody holding your hand and navigating you through that voyage, because there's just so many things in crypto, good and bad. Now we've got like layer ones, we've got all sorts of different segments, and even people that work in the industry, they don't always even know the ins and outs of everything. So we look at all sorts of different values and things, and what I think will happen is I do believe one day banking will be completely different. I believe the banks will adopt this technology themselves, and I think there's a bright future out there, especially we've got the US economies. Like I keep hearing stories that the debt's not really the debt. It's actually probably add another 2 zeros on the end, and that's the real debt of the US.
Yep.
So, and now it's very funny. We did an actual report the other week on, and this is really interesting. And I thought of it myself because I buy physical gold, and it got me thinking. Every time I buy physical gold, I'm paying the bullion dealer a premium.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we've got things like Tether Gold, and in countries like Vietnam, the government's charging them a 30% tariff fee to just buy gold. So if you can buy it and for a few percent, pay a fee to a broker and hold it. Number one, you don't have the risk of somebody breaking into your house and stealing it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is pegged to the US dollar and to the gold price. So it's actually cheaper than buying gold bullion and having it sitting around at home that God knows what can happen to it. And you can get in and out of the liquid market. You can get in and out. And it's actually probably cheaper in fees to do it crypto-wise. Now we've got real-world assets. Like there's talk about people, having tokens for selling a house or something and exchanging this and that. Like, definitely there's so much scope in this sort of thing. And I don't even think we've seen the tip of the iceberg yet. So the future's definitely bright. But I think we're another year or two away from seeing even more exciting developments in it.
You mentioned old Trumpy before, right? Now, with Trump now wanting to obviously hold a certain amount of crypto for the US government.
Reserves, yeah.
Yep. How do you guys see that changing things?
Well, I think it's a big green tick. You know, it's the first person through the doors, basically. You know, because everyone else will be watching closely.
Of course.
And then this is just my opinion. Then there's a lag, you know, where they go, okay, cool, let's just see how this goes. Any mistakes that they make, if they don't do it right, you know, we can improve on. And then after a period of time, they'll sort of start to do the same thing. Where are you at on that, Samuel?
Yeah, well, look, I'll even go a step further than that, and I'll say definitely a big tick. But the other thing is it's supply and demand. There's only so many limited Bitcoins in the world, you know. So once you start getting MicroStrategy and, you know, other big institutions and governments getting them up, you know, that should really be positive for the actual Bitcoins. And it's funny we talk about because one of my customers today, he said he heard about, I think it was called White Rock. It was actually. And if you look at it, it's a very, very small thing. But if you Google it and find out about it, it's actually Trump's family that have brought this one out.
Yep.
Right. And look, it's very small market cap. And today it was down about 11-point-something% when I looked at it from my customer. But I didn't even know about it, to be honest, because there's so many thousands of these things.
Yeah.
But I looked at it and I thought to myself, you know what? If I had $100 or $1,000 and, you know, I'm worth it, you know, a lot more than that, and I just wanted to play on something very speculative, look, I'd throw 100 in it. You know, I'd go out for dinner and cost $100. Now, that's the sort of thing that could be wiped off the map tomorrow, or it could be the sort of thing that gets the next 100x, you know. I like the name Trump because Trump's a very smart guy, and believe me, you know, I'd like to be doing something with his family because, you know, they always seem to come out on top.
Oh, they kick a lot of goals.
They certainly do, but I would never, ever, ever put a high percentage of my equity into something like that. It's ridiculous. But, you know, 1% or 0.5% of something I could afford to lose, you know, if it really was no good, you know, I'd be happy with that because, you know, that's the sort of thing that's got to be nothing or who knows.
Yeah, that's what I call a portfolio flip, you know, is some people, they go into the lower caps, like them ones, and they put the majority of their portfolio in, and then they put the small amount into Bitcoin and all that sort of stuff. Great if it works out. But,
Great if it works out.
Yeah, I like to, 10 or 15% of my portfolio is into the high speculative. If they 100x, great. They go to zero, all right, you know, there's a risk. You know?
Well, just what Samuel said before about, you know, like, you know, the cost of a dinner, right? Honestly, okay, well, guess what? You've eaten that dinner, it's gone forever.
Yeah, that's it.
Take that punt, right? Like, honestly, it's...
you just put your lunch money in. You don't put your entire food budget for the year.
That's right.
You know, like everything in perspective, people. Now, just one thing before we go, the real world assets type stuff, when you were talking about, you know, the gold, silver, that sort of thing, the fluidity of it, like you get your physical. I mean, don't get me wrong. People do have, not saying whether I do or not, but have physical stuff. You got to store it. You got the insurance on it. You get it safe, that sort of stuff. And then when you got to sell it, it's a pain in the ass. And it's the same with real estate. You know, we do a lot of work with Block Square and Ocean Point, you know, which is on our website as well. You know, to be able to get into real estate, investing in real estate on the blockchain, that's where I think a lot of this narrative is going to be driving this market is in real world assets.
Well, gentlemen, we are in the last minute of the show. Here's what I want to do. Okay. Oh, yeah, look, I spent a bit of time talking about, you know, Orange Brick Road because I do massively believe in you. I think the education stuff you do is just fantastic, mate. So if you're out there on the internet, okay, after you've looked at all the things you shouldn't be looking at, all right? With the 5 minutes a day you've got left, where can I find you?
Oh, yeah, orangebrickroad.com.au.
Easy as that. Obviously, you can go to the edgeradioaustralia.com website, click on your little image that comes up, mate.
Yeah.
And what about you there, Samuel? How can we find you, mate?
You can find me on my website.
It's probably best you find us on there and have a good look at all the other things they do. Like I said, they've got the whole package, the tax agents and everything and the whole community.
Yep.
So, just have a look on their site. And get familiar. It's not just about brokerages. It's about having that total package. And Brick Road will really, really assist clients, particularly newer clients that are just starting out.
Yep.
It's probably the best place to go to get started.
Agreed, mate.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Samuel. Now I'm going to get away from Aaron because he's going to keep me them eyes again.
Hey, absolute pleasure there, Samuel. Love to look forward and talk to you later in the future. Right now, a bit of Dragon for you. It's Edge Radio
Bring it on.
Australia.
Unlock the power of cryptocurrency with Orange Brick Road as your guide. The homepage provides an overview of our services: crypto education, consulting, trading, tax, bookkeeping, loans, real-world assets, estate planning, scam recovery, and more. Explore our comprehensive courses tailored for beginners to advanced crypto enthusiasts. Our team of experts offers personalized consulting across all aspects of crypto, including everything from how to purchase your very first crypto coin, the importance of security, reporting requirements, and the latest developments in the decentralized finance world. Join our thriving community, attend events, and network with like-minded individuals. Stay up to date with our blog covering the latest crypto trends and analysis. Get started today by enrolling in a course or booking a consultation. Navigate the crypto world with confidence. Orange Brick Road, your path to understanding.